which I did at Sexual Assault Support Services, and for the purpose of not having to say those words over and over again, I'll just call it SAS. So first of all, a little bit about what we do. I put the word empowerment up there because I want to make sure I touch on it. So we believe that the clients know what's best for them. So we use the words that they use. We don't give them labels that they don't give themselves. If they want to call an event an assault or sexual assault or rape, we listen to that. And we work with the strengths that they already have. So some of the things that we offer, or all of the things that we offer, is the 24/7 crisis and support line, and legal and hospital services, so advocacy. We can accompany you to make a report or further investigate your options, and we do support groups, of course, and it's all free. And the basic mission is to, of course, support survivors and sometimes their loved ones, but mostly survivors, and using the empowerment model and really trying to break down some of the oppressive factors that can intertwine with sexual assault. So what I do, and what I've done the past year, is answering the phones and helping train new staff and volunteer on how to answer the crisis lines. So it could be someone experiencing a trigger or having an episode of depression, or it can be after the fact, or it can be I'm about to see someone who is really, maybe they're the assailant, maybe not, but a lot of different situations. And my personal mission is, of course, to contribute to the end of oppression, which is a big thing, but it's something I'm always trying to work on in my life and work. And like I said, we work with strengths that our clients already have, and we always come from the point of believing survivors. So if you come and tell me something, I will believe you, and so will the rest of the staff. So there's that empowerment model coming up again. And where this idea came from, well, my facilitator and I did it with two other facilitators. We were thinking, what do we need in the community? What are they telling us that we need? And what a lot of clients who are already receiving services said was, I struggle with worthiness, self-esteem, which is common in sexual assault survivors. And so that was how the idea was born, being around self-worthiness to being the group, the main theme. And a couple of pieces of data. So support groups have been shown to decrease negative mental health responses and decrease isolation for survivors. And the group was intended to speak to that and provide a safe place, a physical space, because I feel like there's, in society, generally, there's not really a place that we talk about such issues. So this was meant to be completely safe and just supportive space for that to happen. And this project it's a support group for female survivors of sexual assault, self-identifying female survivors, and 18 and up, because we don't serve minors. And what it ended up being 8 members, and there were 12, but a few decided just couldn't make the commitment, or it wasn't the right time, the group wasn't for them. So still a good turnout, and we had it over 8 weeks, and it was 1 session a week, about 2 hours. We had it over at the NAMI space, which was really cool to use. And we had a different theme focusing on each week, but there are some of the topics I listed: self-esteem, a general sense of worthiness before we even got to self-worthiness. Because if you ask a lot of people, we just don't even know what it is, and it's not anyone's fault, it's just not really talked about. So we wanted to get to the bottom of what is worthiness, which I'll talk about later. And internalized messaging, so what do we tell ourselves? What do we tell the world about ourselves, and how does that affect our lives, especially in the context of sexual assault and possible abuse and past trauma? So we wanted to address all of that. This on the right is a sample agenda. It's actually the agenda we had on the last night, so a lot of discussion. But then on the left is a list of typical things that we usually did. So videos, homework, mindfulness and breathing activities, and then different activities or discussions. So one activity we did that is on that list was writing a letter to yourself, and we worked on that over several weeks. And it could be about things you've experienced or people who've been important to you. How have we come to form the ideas that we have about ourselves? And how has that affected our lives and our work and the way that we conduct ourselves? And it's all very open, and the hardest part for me was like, okay, so I think the group is saying that they need this, so I have to change my agenda to fit what they need rather than this is my project and I have to do it exactly how I was going to do it. But it's been really cool to kind of go with the flow on that, so it's been good. Challenges, there were a lot of challenges. The number one for me was definitely time management, because it ended up being way more work than I thought, but totally rewarding and worth it. And definitely establishing myself. I'm 22, so I don't have the life experience in general that a lot of the women did. We had a couple of women in their 20s, a couple in their 30s, and then 40s and 50s. I don't know exact ages, but about there. So just respecting that, I am coming to this field. I never seem to know more than they do, and I really did learn more from the members than I think we taught them, so that was great. And the bottom line I always put is human connection and authenticity, because we really, I think all the facilitators and the staff wanted to create a space where everyone who comes to our building knows that we truly care about them and want them to want the best for them and in their healing. So that was a big part also. So as I was talking about, the question that we really wanted to know is, what is worthiness? How can we define it for ourselves? And it's really sticky because you can't separate out, there's 3 components or whatever. It's very messy. So we learned, and I thought throughout the time that we were doing the group, is that third line, basically, I'm enough the way I am right now. So not when I get this job or get married or however you define success, but I have a base level of worthiness, and I'm always going to be okay just that way. And we wanted to instill that sort of environment, but it's hard to do in 8 weeks. So I think one of my colleagues put it best when she said, you don't just wake up one day whole. It's always a process and a journey, and a lot of the group members expressed that this was helpful for their journey. And I put that quote up there because Brene Brown, researcher and author, is someone we drew a lot of inspiration from, and I agree, sometimes the bravest and most important thing you can do is just show up. Just do the next right thing, do your best. So that was a quote that resonated with a lot of the members. We also passed out quotes every week, just on a piece of paper that we thought would fit with the overarching theme, and a keepsake. And these are some of the positive evaluation feedback that we got. And we did also receive constructive evaluation, which we did incorporate into the next sessions. But I wanted to highlight a couple of the ones that I thought were really telling. Inclusiveness and respect renewed, gentleness is powerful. All of the statements coming directly from them. And for example, something that I think even 3 or 4 women wrote on their evaluation, I need a slower pace, like this is too fast, it's too much material. And I think part of that was me thinking, I have to prove myself and establish myself and give them everything I know from FHS, but they didn't need that. So I had to step back and make it more room for discussion and more room for processing and healing, because it's a process, I'll keep saying that. This is an evaluation, it's blank. It's kind of hard to read, but on the right is, you felt heard and respected. We worked on what we wanted to work on. Today's group was the right fit for me. The facilitator's approach was good for me, or not, on the opposite side. Most of our responses were on the right side, which was great, and we had a couple of responses near the middle, and I think one towards the end, which were the pieces that I just told you we worked on later. And this is me, Rebecca, and Leora from me to the left. And they were my co-facilitators. I thought that was a fun picture to put up. So benefits, of course, to the group members. And the great thing about a group is that you get a lot of vocal feedback. And if you create a space comfortable enough, people will say what they need and come to you. And I had a couple of the women come to me afterwards asking about concerns or something they wanted to work on, and then I was able to bring that to the other facilitators. So, and of course the staff and volunteers, interns, I'm the only one there now, so I didn't put that up there, but we all benefit, and the community of survivors. I think it's pretty radical to create a safe space, a physical place you can go and talk about something that is so difficult for the community to address, but that's happening. And sustainability, so the first thing I put was each member received a Brene Brown book, a couple of which I read. They touched specifically on topics of worthiness, and I put that under sustainability because they can use it as a resource and a guide and a tool for however long they're on this journey. And it's a tangible thing to take home, and the group will be continued. So there's usually at SAS, we have several closed groups that continue like once a year for each group. So this one will be coming back, which I'm very happy about, and glad that it's really reached people. And I think the material is applicable to exploring worthiness for anyone if you're struggling with addiction or eating disorders or mental health. I think everyone could benefit from the material, so I'm going to make a physical binder for myself and a copy for SAS so that I can keep it for my own reference in the future, because I'm sure the tools will be helpful again. And then lastly, my reflections. So I want to be a therapist, group and individual. That's the long-term goal. And even though there's millions of experiences out there, I got to really get to know 8 in great detail. And it was an amazing privilege. And, well, my goals are to get closer to my career and just learn more skills. And I listed some skills I learned there, specifically from FHS. So leadership was a big one. Group dynamics and collaboration I thought were big also. And again, I underline human connection and authenticity because that's important in everything I do. And it's just something that I feel helps any human service environment. So I'm trying to foster that as much as possible. And that is my main part of my presentation. So I appreciate you all listening. Thank you very much.